Good evening from the Standard Group Center here in the Kenyan capital, Nairobi. I am Ben Kitili. Choice 2017 begins now. Tonight we analyze a phenomenon that has been making headlines in the country for the last few days, and this is a so-called negotiated democracy that has been not only proposed but is being enforced in the counties of Mandera and Garissa. Now, following a 5-day meeting in Banisa in the county of Mandera, the powerful Gare Council of Elders decided that all elected leaders serving currently will relinquish their post in 2017 and will not seek re-election. They say this is to ensure equity and avoid disputes between the clans and sub-clans in the county. They are set to front new contenders using an agreed-upon formula, and that a similar formula was used to get the current office holders elected into office in the 2013 general election. Some leaders, including Mandera Senator Bill Okero, have said they will heed the elders' verdict, while others like Mandera Governor Ali Roba have seemed less cooperative. So what is the way forward, and what is the place of negotiated democracy? Is it viable in national elected positions as has also been proposed, or across other parts of the country? On the broadcast tonight, we seek to understand this issue better. You can join this conversation via phone or online on hashtag Choice2017 on Twitter. And in studio with me to just put perspective into this issue and understand it better is the Senator for Mandera, Bill Okero, of course, who has been on the front line saying that he does not have a choice but to heed the elders' decree. We have him in studio with us. We also have Ahmed Ibrahim Abbas, Member of Parliament for Ijara in the county of Garissa. Shall also be seeking to talk to Abdullahi Mohamed Diriya, Member of Parliament for Wajir South, as well as Abdikadir Aden, Member of Parliament for Balambala in the county of Garissa. Thank you for joining us on the broadcast tonight. Now let's just take a look at where this started, and of course that is the county of Mandera. That is where we did start this story, and take a look at who will be affected in this said new formula. Of course, Ali Roba, the governor of the county of Mandera, is set or supposed to not seek re-election. Bill Okero, member of Senator of Mandera, who we have in studio with us tonight. There is Mohamed Huka, Member of Parliament for Mandera South, and we have Mohamed Abdi Haji, Member of Parliament for Banisa. Mandera County has a total of 4 parliamentary constituencies, and those are some of those 2 are some of the members of Parliament that are set to be able to be affected by this. If you can go to the next slide, of course, another person who will be affected or said to be affected by this, Mahmoud Mohammed, Member of Parliament for Mandera West, Aden Mohamud Noor, Member of Parliament for Mandera North, as well as Fathia Mahbub, the women representative for the county of Mandera. This also includes a total of 18 members of the county assembly in Mandera. Now, before we get into this, now community elders in northern and parts of eastern Kenya are engrossed in that what has been termed as negotiated democracy, as we have been telling you. Community leaders are issuing decrees for majority of elected leaders. First it was Mandera and Garissa, as we've reported, and as Chris Tairo now tells us, the latest county to be enjoined in this agreement is the county of Marsabit.
Elders in Garissa and Marsabit counties are now following in the footsteps of their colleagues in Mandera. This follows the decision by 20 subclans of the predominant Gare community in Mandera County to retire all the sitting elected leaders from the county. The elders are seeking new blood for their leaders in the forthcoming elections, and now politicians, elders and religious leaders from Marsabit, Isiolo and Tana River counties have resolved to form a joint political bloc. They want to allocate the elected positions among different clans from their counties.
Tunabuni muungano ya uchumi, hatukupata habari nyingine imefika wapi. Sisi tunataka kwenda kidogo tofauti, tuweke yote 3 pamoja. Kiuchumi, siasa na kijamii.
Those 3 counties have a lot in common. They are the same people. They basically speak the same language. These are pastoral communities. People of very common interest and common agenda.
The leaders say their aim is to enforce the unity of their clans regardless of their political affiliation.
We are also up, and we also recognize our diversity and our unity. We also have Ormas among our team, the Tana River group, and basically we don't have different languages in these counties, and we have also brought on board the minority groups among this team.
We owe our people the responsibility of making sure we guide them in the direction where they will be better served.
Garissa County also seems to have followed suit if sentiments echoed by Majority Leader in the National Assembly and Garissa Town MP Aden Duale are anything to go by.
Tumeamua kwa kauli moja ya kwamba ikifikia election ya 2017 ule atabeba bendera ya Jubilee katika hii county kwa kiti ya governor ni Mheshimiwa Ali Buno Korane.
In Mandera County, Area Governor Ali Roba seems to be the only elected leader who has defied the calls by the Gare elders. Roba has vowed to defend his seat come 2017 general election.
He also knows that they plucked him out of nowhere in 2013, really, and gave him that opportunity to be a governor against some very serious candidates who had experience, who had, a name in the society. And in fact, one of them could not take it, and he ran against him, and he lost.
According to Kero, anyone who defies the decision taken by the leaders is eligible for a penalty, and that might just be the end of their political careers.
It is a delegate system where, each community sends, each of the 20 clans sends nearly 100 people to that conference. So you're talking of thousands of people who are meeting. So it's not something that really 20 people can sit down and say, no, we don't want so and so. They won't get away with it.
Pastoralist communities living in northern Kenya have relied on elders to resolve their inter-clan conflicts and foster peace. Chris Dairo, KTN News.
So we are speaking about negotiated democracy, so-called negotiated democracy. First of all, what is your take on this? Should this be applied in other parts of the country? Be sure to join this conversation online on Twitter on #Choice2017. In studio with me, I have the Mandera Senator Bill Okero and Member of Parliament for Ijara in the county of Garissa, Ahmed Ibrahim Abbas. Thank you, Ashmir, for joining us on Choice 2017. Bwana Senator, what informed your decision to decide not to vie for your seat in 2017 as per the decree by the elders?
A couple of things. One is a pledge that we undertook as leaders from the county that we will be bound by the decision of the county of the Council of Elders, for the next round of elections of 2017. So we made a commitment, we took an undertaking that we will be bound by it. That's one. Two, it's the larger interest of the community. The unity of the community, and the need to ensure that there is an equitable power sharing. And I think this goes back to a 2010 constitution, because that constitution fundamentally, changed the landscape politically, because what it did was to introduce considerations such as ethnicity and regions and so forth in resources, including whether it's elective and so forth. So I think since that's why I think it's really relevant that from last year, 2013, we decided that in our politics, we need to bring up all the sub-clans within the Gare community on board, so that there's no one who feels left out, and there's no part of the of the society that feels they've been left out politically. And I think it has worked. The most important thing for me, I think, is that it worked very well in 2013, and this is why I support it. I support it very strongly, because I think what we have seen is that the Gare community, for example, had one parliamentary seat in 2007 from 3 parliamentary seats we had at independence. And that happened because of the division within the society. Because once you find only the big tribes, or the big sub-clans are the ones taking all the seats, all the parliamentaries, all the time, the rest of the smaller clans don't feel, or sub-clans don't feel, inclined to support it. Right. So we eventually started getting fragmented, and we lost, most of our seats and so forth. So, but when we did this in 2013, from 1 seat, we were able to go up to 8 seats, as a matter of fact. So it worked, and this is why I strongly supported that. In the large interest of the clan, it really would.
Wouldn't this be killing democracy? That has been argued.
Not really. It does not exclude the competitive. If somebody wants to compete, it does. And by the way, in every seat, from the MCA to the governor, in the last election, in spite of this arrangement, there were candidates who compete. So it does not really stop any one of us from that. But more importantly, I think it enhances a kind of a democracy. Democracy is not necessarily, doesn't mean we have to spend. I'll give you an example of one constituency outside ours last year in Mandera, where two families, sub-clans of one clan were competing. We are told they spend almost 200 million shillings just for one constituency. So I think what we're looking at is that, yes, people can compete, and the law is there, and you can compete, nobody can stop you. But this one has a significant payoffs, including limiting the friction within the clans or within the community. It reduces all that tension, it reduces expenditure. It also ensures that everyone is brought on board. I think that's what works.
Mheshimiwa Abbas, same question to you. Isn't this an insult to democracy? Does the Council of Elders have the mandate of the people to kick out elected leaders?
Well, I think they do, because the Council of Elders are not primarily people who have chosen themselves. They are put there into that position by clans. Clans sit, like the case of you take of the Garra in Mandera, it has 20 sub-clans, and every sub-clan was represented. And every sub-clan are the ones themselves who choose who will be their nominee. And you see, that kind of, it was a unanimous decision. It wasn't, it was somebody very agreeable to them. But coming to your point, whether it will kill democracy. In fact, I believe that, in fact, I really congratulate the Council of Elders of Mandera. And I also congratulate leaders like Belo Quero, who have decided to abide by the decision of the Council of Elders, and even believe that we should scale these things to the national level, right, as a country.
We'll talk about that. The Gare Council of Elders has come out very clearly and set out what needs to be done. What is happening in Garissa? Do you have a similar system? Is it in play?
Exactly, it's a similar in play, and I think we are seeing through the media last week. There's a community among one of them in Garissa, the Abdua community, which sat and came up with the nominee for the position of the governor, a former permanent secretary, Ali Korane.
Yes.
And essentially, Garissa, the dynamics in Garissa slightly different from Mojia and Mandera in the sense that it is one clan. What we are talking about are sub-clans within. But the system is the same.
All right, it's the same.
Yeah, so they have come up with Korane to go head on with the governor.
So you yourself, you're ready to not vie for in 2017. You're ready to relinquish your seat.
Of course, even if you are to look at even the last election, 2013, before I vied for the Ijara constituency, my clan sat and we had 5 candidates. And everyone sent his application there. The elders sat, and they settled on me. So if the elders were to sit again, and they find it necessary for me not to contest, I have no otherwise but to abide by that decision.
All right.
Yes.
Mr. Senator, was there a pact in 2013, and how was it, arrived at?
Yes, I think for us, we started that process in 2010, in April 2010.
Right.
And I said the genesis of all this is the way the clan failed politically, really, and we lost most of our political power in the county because of division within the clan. But 2010, once we came up with a charter, a written charter to which each of the 20 clan signed that they will be bound by the decisions of the 21 elders.
Right.
So once they dished out those seats in 2013, they succeeded in all the 25 seats. All their 25 nominees were elected. And all those who ran against them lost. And I think the reason was very clear that the community, the voters, public, wanted that system because it encouraged unity. And it also looked after all the, there's no party which is small. Like me, I come from a small one of the smaller sub-clans within the Gara community. But that system does not look at the size of the clan. We all have one representative, and it gives each one of them an opportunity, really, to get a chance of being a governor or an MC or whatever. So that I think enhances the chances of every one of us to getting to leadership. It's about within that community getting your best, within your sub-clan getting your best out. So I think it worked. So for me, I think it's a question of saying that we can't say I support a system if it works for me, and I object to it if it doesn't work for me. I think that would really be unfair. But But the fundamental thing is, even in Garissa, where now we have one Ogaden community, is one clan. But within the Ogaden clans, then there are sub-clans. So what we saw a couple of days ago, the one of the Ali Korane, one sub-clan of Abduak, that you find it's happening at that level of a sub-clan, or in case of his, the sub-clan of Abdallah. So it's happening even at that level that people find it better to really rationalize on this political competition and try to identify so that, as a way of ensuring not only equity but also trying to, reduce the chances of conflict within the community and within the clans. I think
what happens when some of those people occupying those positions are not agreeable to this? There has been reports indicating that, for example, your governor, Ali Roba, may not be very cooperative in this. What happens then? He believes he has performed as governor. He says he has brought more than 1,500 teachers to the county, 60 hospitals, he says. 1,000 kilometers of all-weather road, he says. So he says this is, reason enough for me, to seek re-election. What happens when there's such an individual, some of the leaders, not willing to abide by the verdict of the council?
Well, let me give the one on Mandera. There's no, really, I don't think there's a misconception that automatically every 5 years there has to be a rotation. It doesn't really.
Okay.
The elders, is up to them to really retain those who are in office for another term, or to ask that they all are replaced. It's really based on a lot of factors. One of the factors probably that they based it on is the performance of the team, because once you come in, then you are coming in as a team. They endorse you as a team and expect you to work as a team, and therefore I think they looked at the performance maybe as one of the things that they looked at. But I think for me the question you've raised is that in any society, in politics, there'll always be a complaint if you lose in politics, even in the normal competitive politics. If we lose, all of us have normally, globally, people complain that, no, this is not right, and I've been, and that's why others go all the way up to petition. So that feeling that of unhappiness when you are left out in politics is a normal thing. The same thing even with this system. We will expect, and it happened last time, 2013. There are people who did not agree to that system, and they went ahead and compete. They competed in the election, all the way from governor up to the MCS, and like I said earlier, they didn't succeed. My own take is that even today in Mandera, I think those who will not be bound by this and decide to run on their own, I don't think we'll go very far. I think it's a zero-sum game as far as I'm concerned, because the public, really, these people get their mandate from the public, as you said. It's the public, it's the mood. They see the mood of the public, they read the mood of the public, they know each one of them represents a sub-clan, they know what that sub-clan is. So everyone has an interest in making sure that your sub-clan's candidate is elected, because I also have one, and this one also has. So it's an interdependent system in which everyone believes that we're all winners if we support the team.
Right.
You don't support it, then you'll also lose, because your candidate will also be thrown out, because you don't necessarily have the numbers. No one group can have the numbers to elect his or her person because of, for example, now if it's the governor, it's like national level. Yes. There's no one tribe in Kenya which can contest without getting, support of the other tribes. So ultimately, that is the kind of situation also at that level that we're looking at.
All right. So, Mheshimiwa Abbas, how is this process done? For example, in Garissa, it's a sub-clans. If a sub-clan has been given a certain position, so how does the Council of Elders then, arrive at a particular candidate? How is that process? You can take us through that process.
Okay, thank you. Even before I go that, if we are to go back slightly, that whoever defies
all right, yes,
the decision of the clan, the clan system is such a strong in that part of the country that if you are to defy, you are likely to end up with your vote, your mother's vote, and probably your wife's vote. It is likely even your brothers will not go with you because they have interest, they have future interest. They will not want to ruin the entire interest because of you. And at the end of it, politics is about numbers. It's the situation last election where some people thought that, Mother Karua will be able to get a substantial number of votes from the central province, to do a damage to His Excellency the President. But in the end, it never was. So that's the same case that applies. Apparently, the system works like this. we are to go to them for Garissa and the sub-clans, a meeting will be called at first. Garissa is slightly different. We did not have the process did not start at 2010.
Right.
It started thereabout during the election time. So there's a class X and class clan X and clan Y and class Z in Garissa. Each one have their different committees, and these committees are not there necessarily for politics only. They are there to solve many other community problems. If somebody were to lose property, if somebody is in a problem, if somebody is to go to abroad. So this is a structure that's already existing. It's not formed primarily for only for the purpose of politics. So when the time of politics come, that community congregate, and people ask if there are any amongst them who is interested for what seat. For to give you now the example of the Abuak in Garissa, which nominated the Korane, there are 5 candidates who submitted their applications for the same. Now, as he said, you know, this committee, this council of elders, you know, do not work in a vacuum. They're already aware every bit and gritty of the communities, the professionals. It includes many things. And among the other factors they look is the sellability. If we pick this candidate, will he be able to deliver this particular seat? If there are 2 of you, and you are found to, you are in a position to get support across other sub-clans, is one of the factors which are considered. So they consider that, they consider your previous public standing in society, they consider experience. And I was not a member of the Korenes clan, but I believe the main reason that carried for him was his former position as a permanent secretary. Now that you know there's somebody who came from the private sector with no public experience, the current governor, and who has done a hell of a mess.
Just hold that thought a bit. Let's talk to Mohammed, who's calling us from the county of Mandera. Mohammed, good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
The leaders talking, I think they are not honest.
Yes?
They are not honest.
Yes, go ahead.
The leaders are not honest, actually. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you. What is your take on this issue?
The leaders' discussion actually is not a honest one.
Why do you say that?
It is true that Below, has not even cleared the air about what he's talking about. I'm calling from Mandera.
Yes.
And we know what they are talking about. It is never a negotiated democracy. First thing, these clans that are here have clan charters. The clan charters contradict the Constitution in Article 81 of the Constitution and Article 38 of the Constitution, which is very clear on electoral laws. What they are encouraging is a way where you have to disrespect universal suffrage, the principle of universal suffrage, where you disrespect free and fair elections, devoid of improper influence, and so forth.
Right.
The other thing is that the model that these elders have come up, which of course may believe is that these elders are a bunch of clan elites who came up, who came together and organized themselves in such a way that they loot the resources we see, in the county.
All right.
The truth is that what we are seeing is actually it actually encourages corruption, because the thing they call corruption is what we call actually from today, eat and live. 5 years of my time to. That's what basically the leaders were actually encouraged.
Thank you, Mohammed.
Model.
Thank you, Mohammed. We'll have the leaders respond to that. We also have Maina calling us here on Choice 2017. Good evening, Maina. Maina, can you hear us?
Yes, how are you?
Fine, thank you. What do you think about this this phenomenon of negotiated democracy?
First of all, my name is Warabu Maina.
Yes.
I'm calling from Nairobi. I want first of all to greet you, Mr. Ben, and the leaders from North Eastern of Kenya. And I have a question on first of all, before I go to the discussion on children empowerment. Education is very key to children's progress and society progress. what are the two leaders, what are the leaders from the region doing to empower children against massive children abuse such as FGM and early marriages, which you have witnessed recently in those regions?
All right. Thank you for that question. We'll try to find time for that. But very quickly, in 30 seconds only, what do you think about what we're discussing about tonight?
I believe on negotiated democracy. I believe it is well adhered to in the northeastern region, but we still don't have youth who are capable of who are empowered in getting to leadership. So I think the negotiated democracy in the region is not have not really reached where it should be.
All right.
Because these are not incorporated.
Thank you very much, Maina. We have Danson finally before we get to respond to those questions. Danson, good evening.
Good evening, sir. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Where are you calling us from, and what is your take on this?
My name is Danson Kiprotich. I'm calling from Bungoma.
Yes.
And my take on that is that.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes. So what I'm saying is that it is very wrong because people are supposed to elect their leaders on their choices, and Senator Kero is a very good leader. So the issue of negotiated democracy is in question because will it solve the issue of the Al-Shabaab insurgence that is happening in northeastern country, in northeastern part of the country.
All right.
So what should happen is that in the book of Romans, chapter 13, verse 1 to 7, it talks about the leadership which is there is installed by God, and it is God that has wanted to be there.
Thank you, Danson. Thank you, Danson. Mr. Senator, if you can respond
yes,
to especially the question from Mohammed in Mandera County.
I think Mohammed's question is misplaced. I mean, I mentioned earlier that nothing in this arrangement precludes anyone from contesting. I mean, that constitutional right is there. It doesn't stop anybody. And that's why we had candidates, competing in all the seats last, and this will be the same even going forward. The second point, I think, on what he raised is that he said it would encourage eating, or it would encourage stealing if someone knows only he's going for 5 years. I think the reality is that if one is bound to relax integrity, whether you give him 5 years or 10 years doesn't change. It will still mean he will be involved in eating, and he will still misappropriate funds. I think that does not change because we have got 5 years. It's the leadership, it's the integrity, the quality of the person, really. But I think so the elders did not also put themselves there. I think, as you mentioned earlier, it's the leaders. It's the public, it's the community that themselves they are elected, really, and put there to represent them for a period of time. Like in our case, for the period of 7 years. So at the end of, after the election next year, then their term also expires, and we'll get a new team. But let me just emphasize the point, the caller from Bungoma raised, that this idea about Council of Elders is not something new we started. I mean, the Council of Elders are there with Luos and Luyas and Kikuyus for many years. I mean, it's really, and all of them really work for the large interest of their respective tribes. Where he calls from in Bungoma alone, I know the Council of Elders of the Luyas have been fighting for years to try and create unity within that community so that they have one of their own, really, to be the candidate for presidency. That's something that they have been working on. So it's this kind of arrangements to try and unify the community, to try and so that they can focus on the large interest of that community. Is not something new, really, to understand. But I think it is something which, for us, where we are coming from, and in this context of devolution, I think it really helps to enhance that relationship within the community.
All right.
I just want to add on the same.
Yes.
I think there's a misconception. The fact that a clan decides that this will be its candidate, that does not anybody else who doesn't agree with that decision.
You don't think it's against the Constitution?
Number two,
free, fair election.
Number two, I think there's nothing in law or in the Constitution that stops from a community, including even 3 members of ours here, deciding that we want to lead our life in this manner, that we want to do our election in this manner, that among the 3 of us, you go this year, it does next year. There's nothing in law that that stops that. And finally, and as I've said earlier, the one for if you don't agree with that decision, you're at liberty to contest for that post. Present yourself, sell yourself, but the end result is that you're unlikely to.
You see, the process is similar to a political party nomination, really. I mean, there are political parties that will have 4 or 5 candidates for a particular seat, and they have to find a way of nominating one person for that particular position. The same thing which every sub-clan here is doing, so that if sub-clan X is given the position of a governor to bring a candidate for the governor's position, they will identify 4, 5, 6, 7, and eventually they'll forward, like in our case, 3 names to the Council of Elders. And the Council of Elders will, based on a lot of the factors that he mentioned and other factors, identify one who will be the flag bearer for that community. I mean, it's really, at the end of the day, a process of nomination, but it does not in any way contradict any law.
Right. We are talking. Let's take a quick break, Mheshimiwa. We'll be back to talk about these and more issues. We are talking about the proverbial so-called negotiated democracy, whereby, of course, the counties in northeastern Kenya are the ones who have gone for the jugular on this one. Of course, Mandera Council of Elders, the Garrett Council of Elders coming out to say that the current elected leaders will not be seeking re-election, of course, as continue to elicit a lot of reaction. We are speaking to the Member of Parliament for Ijara, Abdullahi, Ahmed Ibrahim Abbas, rather, and of course the Mandera Senator Bill Okero. Just what are your views as you watch us? What do you think about this? We're asking you, do you think this is viable, and is it viable in other parts of the country? Be sure to join us on that conversation. You can call us in studio. You can also join this conversation online on Twitter. We are taking a quick commercial break. Don't go too far. When we return, we shall be seeking to put more perspective into this issue. Stay with us. Welcome back to Choice 2017. We are speaking about the issue of negotiated democracy. We are speaking to Bill Okero, Senator for Mandera, and Ahmed Ibrahim Abbas, Member of Parliament for Ijara. Let me come to you, Mheshimiwa. Many people are asking, as we wrap up, aren't there any other ways of maintaining, making sure there are no disputes in the counties, in the regions, rather than using political power brokerage?
But the best way to avoid conflict, because the cause of conflict is always resources. If you distribute resources equitably and in a just and a fair manner, you wouldn't have any conflict at all. I think most of our conflicts are because of the winner, maybe say, take all. That if I have more numbers than you, I'll forever rule you. And you have to be a subject to me. So, and I think it's good to look at this Council of Elders or these committees, whatever name you want to call it, as a kind of electoral college. If you are to look in America, that democracy that you always look up to it as the best in the world. They got an electoral college that you could win the universal suffrage and still lose the election, like the case of Al Gore and George Bush, where Al Gore beat George Bush by close to 2-point-something million votes, and still he wasn't elected the president of America. So I think it's good to see these things as an electoral college for the purpose of bringing harmony, cohesion, unity, and equity within people of particular area.
Right. Senator, where does this leave
I think the
party system?
The beauty of this system is the amount of negotiation which goes into this. For example, we started our meeting on 6th of this month. Today is 15th. They're still at Banisa negotiating. Because even when you give a clan a particular seat, a sub-clan a particular seat, the amount of negotiation that goes in between the respective families that make up that clan to try and say it should be Ahmed and it should not be, the candidate should not be so-and-so. It really goes into, it takes, so that ultimately through negotiation, what comes out is a consensus. The candidates are taken eventually through a consensus. So when there is consensus, it means the fallout really would then be minimal, because then I have agreed to allow Ahmed to be the candidate. So then we will not be quarreling out there. So I think for the political parties, it's a great advantage, because what happens is, instead of negotiating with the candidates, to join my party or to join his party, and then as we've seen, one will join and then in court, and the other one is in Jubilee, and the other one is in this, and then ultimately changing. In the last few months, you find politicians running around. The advantage in Mandera was, last time Jubilee negotiated with the Council of Elders directly, so that you get a block negotiation from that community completely, And I think it works. It's easier for the party, and it's easier also for the clan to get their, whatever, their power of negotiation is much stronger and much higher than when an individual goes to this party and an individual goes to another party. So it for political parties, I think this is a less, it reduces the.
And that brings me to my final question to you, Bwana Senator. The Council of Elders is accused, I don't know if that's the correct word to use, or is said to be very close to the Jubilee coalition. Could this be another way of Jubilee stamping its authority in northern Kenya?
No. I think it's just coincidence. I think it's coincidence. Mandera in 2007, we voted entirely for ODM to the last man. I mean, you can't really accuse. Last year it was the opposite. We went into Jubilee to the last person.
Okay.
Next one we have not even decided. After they finish this process, then we will sit to determine which political party and how we will. I mean, it really doesn't automatically mean. For example, the Marsabit that we were talking about earlier in your news, they're all still in ODM. I'm sure they'll decide which party to go to. So I think it doesn't necessarily mean that the Council of Elders would. But of course, any society, in any community in this country, we want to negotiate for the best with, in the political dispensation.
Mheshimiwa Abbas, very quickly, we're asking our viewers if this can be replicated in other parts of the country. You're on record saying that this can be done for national elective position. You really believe so?
Yes, I really do, and that's why I truly believe that where this system started was Mandera, and I think it will be good to emulate what has happened in Mandera and replicate the whole country. If you were to look at the history of this country, 53 years down the independence, only 2 communities have made it to the position of the presidency, against 42 communities. And sure, you see, until and why I say that is that currently our politics, our elections are not based on. I will even say our democracy is not mature enough to an extent where you are elected on the basis of your policies and ideologies. Basically, our election, particularly the presidential election, is striped. So what it means is that 53, already 2, in the next 200s, we're still likely to have 2 still communities, as long as, for now I'm told that the arrangement is there up to 2032.
So what is your proposal? Very quickly, 30 seconds.
My proposal is that we replicate that through converting the National Cohesion Commission to say something like the National Council of Elders with all of this country, and that we rotate the presidency, we rotate the deputy presidency, we rotate the speakers of the houses, we rotate the majority leaders, we rotate the minority leaders, so at every election we take care of, say, 6 communities or 3 or 4 regions, whichever way we go.
All right.
I want to just add that there is a debate, there's a strong debate about inclusion really in this country that has been there for a long time. There is indeed a bill that is coming to Parliament by one of the members of Parliament, I think Zuleka, that calls for rotation of the presidency. This is not something unique. I mean, there are countries in this world where this, it happens, just to ensure there is inclusion in the political process. So I think ultimately, what he's saying is not far-fetched. I think it's something that is that's likely to.
Thank you. Now, Paul, question we did ask you: should negotiated democracy be replicated in other countries? 45% of you say yes, 55% say no. Very quickly, Giggs says on Twitter, negotiated democracy has no place in today's history. A few elders cannot decide for the entire population. Mutua Pew says, but why deny a person the right to be re-elected, especially if they performed well? Of course, Queen Winnie says, I don't think negotiated democracy should apply to other countries. There are some who agree. Oita Tiang says, it's emerging as a mechanism to promote national cohesion in divided societies. So many of your feedback, tweets and texts. Many thanks. Final question, 30 seconds. Your colleagues in Parliament are saying that if this happens, then Mandera will lose a very good leader. Do they have a valid point?
True, that's the flip side of this process, ultimately. I mean, if you sweep out all those who had experience of many years, then clearly it will be lost to the country.
Thanks. You have been talking to Bill Okero, member. Senator for Mandera County, and Ahmed Ibrahim Abbas, Member of Parliament for Ijara in the county of Garissa, of course, about this so-called negotiated democracy, something that has been continuing to make headlines. It is something that is still in discussions. It's a story we are keeping an eye on for you of what's happening in Banisa in the county of Mandera. We shall continue to keep you updated and give you the analysis that you need on this. Thank you for joining us here on Choice 2017. Thank you very much, Ashima, for joining us. I'm Ben Kitili. Thanks for watching. Up next is James Smart with Monday Night News. Stay with us.